Tonight's newsmaker, former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich. He was thrown out of office more than 7 months ago. Remember those headlines? Well, he is facing charges that he tried to sell Barack Obama's former Senate seat. But now, Blagojevich is back in the spotlight, partly by choice. He's got a new book out. It's called simply The Governor. He is also in the news by a tragic circumstance. A close associate and fundraiser died over the weekend after what may have been a suicide. Governor, are you there? Welcome to you.
Hi, Campbell. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And before we talk about your book, I do want to ask you about your former top aide, Chris Kelly. As we just mentioned, he died over the weekend. It is being investigated as a suicide. He was about to go to prison for mail fraud. He was also getting a lot of questions, frankly, about his relationship and dealings with you. What do you think was going on?
Well, Chris was a friend of mine, and my heart goes out to Chris, to his wife, to his 3 little girls. I feel a deep sense of loss and a real deep sadness. Chris was a person who had flaws, as we all do. There was some wrongdoing he did. He acknowledged that wrongdoing. The wrongdoing had to do with kickbacks and contracts at O'Hare Airport. It deals with the Daley administration, not my administration. He fessed up to the things he did wrong, but what he was not going to do was to do what he was being urged to do, and that is to tell lies about me to reduce his sentence. And I believe that when he faced what he was facing, in his despair, it would appear that sadly he took his own life. And this is part of what is this story that continues to unfold. In many ways, it's an epic story. I've been falsely accused of things I didn't do, and people who've known me or have worked with me have been pressured and are being pressured to say things that in the past they said just the complete opposite. Tony Resco, who's a mutual supporter and friend of Barack Obama's, wrote a letter to a federal judge where he said prosecutors were trying to make him lie about Obama and me. He also said in that letter that there was no wrongdoing with either one of us, and now he's been pressured to say other things. So it suggests an interesting pattern.
Before we get sidetracked, I just want to... but let's back up a little bit, because you've got this new book out, and in this book, The Governor, you blame just about everybody for your current legal troubles. There is. But do you hold yourself accountable for anything? Are you responsible for any of the problems that you now face?
Well, if you read the book, I think you'd see that I acknowledged judging certain people the wrong way. I write in depth about my relationship with Tony Resco and how both President Obama and I trusted him, thought he was a different person, and a lot of other Democrats in Illinois did too. It was a mistake. I acknowledge that. The president said about his relationship with Mr. Resco that it was boneheaded, and I acknowledge it as a mistake.
But this isn't about the president's relationship with Mr. Resco. I want to talk about your stuff. I do know the FBI has you on tape calling President Obama's old Senate seat golden, saying you won't give it up for nothing. It seems pretty cut and dry. I mean, you don't even deny having said that, do you?
Well, let me ask you something. What you just quoted, are you suggesting that's a crime? That's not a crime. And what I am saying to you is this. Somebody's lying.
How would you characterize it? How would you characterize it? First of all, you do acknowledge saying it, correct?
I acknowledge saying.
So what on earth did you mean when you said it?
Well, what I meant, and the answer is in the decision I made. I wanted a jobs bill to put 500,000 people to work. I wanted health care for 50,000 to 300,000 people. And I wanted a written guarantee not to raise taxes on people. And let me point something out that's a big injustice here. My accusers have taken snippets of tape conversations out of context in a super sensational press. The accuser made allegations that were false and a mutilation of the truth. Just the opposite was true. The day before I was arrested, I directed my chief of staff to work out a routine political deal. Rahm Emanuel was asked to help us and was working with us, where we would have a public works bill passed, health care passed, and no tax increase.
In exchange, you would give the Senate seat
to the Attorney General of Illinois, whose father was the House Speaker, who was blocking these initiatives. It was a routine political deal.
Okay, so maybe technically it's not illegal, but really a routine political deal? I mean, isn't to most of us that just sounds like corruption? I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine, and isn't that what we all hate about politics?
If you're working and bartering for the benefit of the people, to put people to work and create jobs, to expand health care, not raise people's taxes, that's the nature of the business. It is not unlike, in fact, it's a lot more pristine than the discussions you guys in the media so cavalierly talked about when then candidate Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, he decided to raise $10 million to reduce her campaign debt. All of a sudden, she becomes Secretary of State. That's politics. No one's raising an eye about that. And yet that's strictly politics. Here, there was results for people. Jobs, health care, and no taxes. And that's the true story. Somebody's lying. The truth is on those tapes. The prosecutor won't allow me to tell you what's on those tapes. And the full context would be heard if I could have those tapes heard.
Well, we'll see. I know you're asking to get those tapes heard. We'll see if that happens. Governor Rod Blagojevich, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Campbell.